Hi guys, this is the instructional video series, instructional video that's really just walking you through the 5 parts of the Dream Job project, or Project Dream Job, or the Atavist project that we've been talking about all semester. I'm asking you to do 3 things. 1, read the email very closely, paying close attention to deadlines and slight changes that I've made based on the grading that I've done this week. Read each of the instructional sheets very closely, and please watch this video all the way to the end. So let's just get started. So the first sheet is called the introduction sheet. No one's looking. The reason it's called No One's Looking, so the purpose of it is to get you to delve into some scholarly research, as we have been doing all semester, but a scholarly research project that is dedicated to the profession that intrigues you, the profession that you're most intrigued by, whether it's tethered to your major or not, whether it's the profession that your aunt has, whether or not it is the one that everyone's always dreamed of you being. But what is the thing that you would passionately pursue if no one were looking? That's what we want to get at in this particular assignment. So you can go back to your major and all of the other things right afterwards, but this is a place where you just dive into that dream job that you've always been curious about. And it may be what you're pursuing, but it may not be. So anyway, the reason it's called No One's Looking is it's the thing that you would do and choose if no one were looking. So here we have the instructions, and the instructions say that you name your dream job. The name of your dream job is, right, whatever it is. And then the first paragraph is the ties that bind. And it's essentially you laying out how you got acquainted with this job, why you feel connected to it, why are you so invested in it, what is fascinating about this job for you, what are the characteristics and qualities within you that makes this such a dream job for you, right? That's the first part. So the personal connection to this particular topic. Sounds familiar? Okay, the second part is impressions and pre-research suspicions. So now, so far we have 2 paragraphs. First paragraph is establishing your connection, and the second paragraph is letting us know, what do you think you know about this position already? It's kind of like, what do we suspect is already the situation in the landscape, in the chain of command? It could be with the salary. It could be the ecologies. We've talked about ecologies before in class, like all of those different factors and elements within the environment of the dream job that you're looking at. If your dream job is Oprah Winfrey, you want Oprah Winfrey's job, what do you know about the communications business? She's an owner, proprietor of a huge communication firm called Hoppo. What do you know about Hoppo, and what do you know about other communications, whether bigger or smaller firms that are similar or smaller, or how they operate, or what is the chain of command, or what are your impressions, or what do you think you know? What do you think you know about the day-to-day life of your dream job? So basically, when you're done with these 2 paragraphs that are detailing, is just the narrative detailing 2 things. 1, your current connection, and get us to understand why you chose this job. Number 2 is, what do you think you know about the job, right? And that will be your introduction. So let's move on to the next sheet, part 2. Part 2 is called candidate selection. So this is the part where we think about real people that we will be able to come into contact with and talk to and learn from as primary resources who can talk to us about our dream job. Remember, this is a research project. Some of the research will come from secondary resources such as articles and documentaries and the printed materials or the digital materials. But a primary resource, as we've talked about in the past, is someone that you interview and you get firsthand from them what it is that they can offer you in the way of wisdom about this job. So again, if Oprah were my dream job, then I may not be able to book Oprah for my interview by the end of the semester, but I can talk to someone who is a local talk show host, or I can talk to someone who may be in the communications company, maybe a proprietor of a communications company, or someone who works in that field and can talk to me about the operations. So we are talking about 3 possibilities. Your job, it may be somebody who is absolutely within your reach. So you can consider someone who has the exact job that you want. I always choose extreme example because I think if you can solve the extreme example, then the others will be easy. Consider someone who manages the person. Maybe you can't directly talk to the person in your dream job, but can you talk to someone who's a manager for that position or positions like it? Or talk to someone who has a wealth of knowledge in the field of the dream job. Because what you're after is someone who's knowledgeable and who can share a perspective on your dream job in an interview setting, right? You want a primary resource who can sit down with you and talk about that dream job, whether they are ideally the person sitting in the dream job, the person managing the dream job, or someone who's in the field related. Now, when we scroll down, this gets really, it's intended to be very real, right? So we're recording, we're booking an interview. We're getting ready to do an informational interview for our dream job. So you want the name of a person. This requires a little bit of research. You may look it up on the internet, get contact information, get email information. We need email information because we're going to have to reach out, set this up, right? And then it may be somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. You need a place to record these things. And so you're going to record it just like this with the name and the position, contact information, and then kind of like, why do they qualify? Are they someone who has the exact job, or are they a manager of the job, or are they someone in the field, right? And as always, there's a little bit of reflection, just talking about who does the job serve, and who will you help, and think about the choices that you've made and the dream job that you've identified, right? So we're thinking beyond the major here. In the event that this job is tethered to your major, it's perfectly okay. It's perfectly okay, but that it is a major or related to your major doesn't mean it's the best choice. It's the best choice because it's your dream job. Period. So that is part 2, candidate selection. Putting together a list of 3 possibilities. Now, all 3 may be someone who actually has your dream job, depending on what it is. So, let's go on to the next one. Part 3 is called The Throne and the Empire. Now, the throne and the empire is very interesting because it makes us look at the difference between the actual position, and then we look separately at the actual environment that the position lives in, right? So the throne is the actual seat, or Oprah herself, and then the empire is looking at the communications landscape and the field that she operates in. It involves marketing, it involves public relations, it involves communications, it involves a lot of very, very, very high-level corporate operations. So there's a research component here that's twofold. We're looking at the position, we're looking at, and then a few categories that has us looking around the position. So we're looking at the position itself as researchers, and then we're looking at everything around the position, okay? So this is the part that is the research, articles, documentaries, social media. We're looking at business articles such as Forbes and Bloomberg. We're looking at if you can get your hands on a prospectus or an annual report, which is true for all public companies. I have a couple of students who are doing that, right? So let's look at the different areas of inquiry. Now, do you have to have one from all of these areas? I would always say no, right? You don't have to, because I don't know what your dream job is, but I'm giving you a sense of what the expectation is in terms of the research, right? So the expectation is that it is a research deep dive into both the field and the position, right? So conversations and controversies, no matter what the position is that you chose, the dream job is, there's always some sort of conversation that you're joining or controversies around it, right? So one student has chosen like SoundCloud rapper, right? A SoundCloud rapper, a rapper who raps on SoundCloud, which is a social media platform. Now, it seems like there wouldn't be a deep dive to do there. However, it is, because SoundCloud Ltd., which is a very well-established company, has some territorial issues with Spotify that were in the news. There was a business in all of the business journals. There were things to work out in that landscape with Spotify and SoundCloud. And these businesses, that music management businesses that live exclusively online in this world of streaming, that is a huge business research story, right? So the rapper, the SoundCloud rapper, is the throne. Of course, that is the main position of the dream job, but it's also important to know what's going on around and in the house where this position lives, right? So there were many business journals covering that issue. If you're a nurse and that's your dream job, well, you absolutely want to look at what's interesting to you in the way of controversies or questions or discussions or research that's connected to hospitals, healthcare field, and patient care. And there's so many to choose from. And the right choice is the one that is interesting to you. We're looking at business profiles. I mentioned this before. We talked about how Jay-Z as a mogul is covered all of the time by Bloomberg and Forbes, right? So you want to dive deep into annual reports, prospectus. You want to look at salaries, information about employability, how many women are in this position, if it's even a question. Are there gender issues with regard to employability? All kinds of numbers come out of this type of book. I can't tell you what to put in your report because I don't know what you're going to find for your particular position. Again, I tell you, this is just the type of inquiry and research that you should be looking for. So I would try all of these areas. I would try all of them and see what they unearth. And okay, so then also for one student who's interested in being a real estate agent, if you're interested in being a real estate agent abroad, like one of my favorite shows on television, is you need to also talk a little bit about that country. What you can learn about that particular country or the country where you want to be involved in the real estate market. Or if it's on the West Coast, or if it's down south, or, what can we know about the landscape or the empire as opposed to the throne, right? So we're also interested in the throne. So what about the day-to-day duties of this particular position? What training, traditional and non-traditional, can we learn about? What is a typical degree? Is there a typical degree that you get? What is the usual training track, internships, certifications, a typical experience, a day in the life, average day responsibilities? There's so many different ways